Hello YouTubers, and welcome to another episode of RegeneRate. Today we're going to be talking about two different things. The new update for Final Fantasy 15, the Royal Pack.
Royal Edition, Stevie.
Well, the
Royal Edition.
The download content said Royal Pack.
Oh.
Anyway, Royal Edition, Royal Pack, same thing. And we'll start with that. So with the Royal Edition, they have given us a new addition to the story as far as Insomnia goes. Steven, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, you're going to pawn it all on me, aren't you? Yeah, the new update for Royal Edition gave us a variety of new cutscenes, not to mention made the city of Insomnia its own labyrinth or map area to play through. To which they added a boss fight with Cerberus, which, if some of you fans of Final Fantasy 15 know, in Kingsglaive was pointed out, and a lot of the fans really wanted it to be something to fight, and we finally got it. And then they added in a special part near the end, as you're getting to the final fight with Arden. They added a fight against the kings of old. Well, 3 of them.
We do wish we could have fight them all.
All of them, yeah. But for story's sake, I guess they only went with 3, so.
I guess the 3 important ones.
I can't be mad. The last one, spoiler alert for those of you at home, was Arden's brother, the very first king, the Mystic. So that kind of added
So it kind of makes sense for that one being
the
one
last,
of the ones.
yeah. Also kind of hinted more story towards that plot device. My favorite part of the whole thing was they added that new depth to the sinister side of Arden as you get to the Citadel. We even get a fun cutscene where he uses Noctis' father's barrier around the Citadel and
Seals the castle away.
yeah, it seals the castle using the barrier that his father used, giving a miraculous cutscene where Luna Freya comes from the dead and aids Noctis and gang with all the astrals.
Looks like there's no way past the wall.
Honestly, my favorite part of the whole thing, seeing all the astrals do something together to help the king.
There's way too many of them.
All besides Ifrit, which you fight later.
Um,
You can't just
He always,
no.
hated humanity anyway.
What you gonna do?
And any of y'all explored the dungeon that was in Insomnia?
Well,
I had a tough time finding.
pretty much all of Insomnia is the dungeon.
Really?
Yeah, that's what you're fighting through to get to the final. But they're making it feel like not as rushed getting to Arden as the final boss, whereas, you have probably added 2 more fights with him, kind of like final boss motif. They added more of a struggle to get to him, which was Cerberus and the kings, because you fight the fallen kings through the elevator on the way up to Arden.
And first you fight the Fierce, and then you come against the Rogue.
And then, of course, finally the Mystic.
I like how they were, they included, if anyone hasn't played the episodes of Gladio, Ignis, and Prompto, I would suggest doing it before you finish this game. Because in one of the final battles, as you're fighting these kings, you will get a chance to use some of the stuff from there.
Well, also, along with that, they introduced an update before we received the Royal Edition where you could play from their point of views instead of just Noctis and switch between them. So, yeah.
I didn't do that either.
Oh,
I'm
well,
gonna have to go back.
now you do. I will say you kind of get the feeling of all the guys' relationship near the end as they're helping Noctis get to the end of the road. It's a lot more noted towards the struggle they've all endured up until this point. And that was pretty cool.
And aside from that, in Insomnia, they also included where you actually get to meet up with what's his name?
Core.
Yeah.
And he gives you basically have a little base where you can actually do some little other side missions before actually finishing off the game within Insomnia and go around, unlock gates. I have yet to unlock all the gates. I haven't found the other key, but you get to take photos around and fight other creatures.
Another fun tidbit, they added a side quest where you can interact and meet your character that you made in the Comrades multiplayer. That was a fun little stumble across
meeting
for
your
me.
own glaive.
Yeah.
I noticed when I was loading, when I first loaded up the new chapter 14 from where they started you back over, I noticed they added some more demons in there, like different ones. Like there were some I never saw before.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of encountered on the way back to Hammerhead.
Yeah, they said they wanted to make it a little more challenging, even though that chapter 14 was already challenging to begin with, but they wanted to throw in some other stuff.
And then let's not forget the secret boss of Mega Fight.
I attempted that once, I will not go back.
There's a reason why it's a recurring element in Final Fantasy games, because they actually used him as a DLC fight in Final Fantasy 13-12.
When it showed up on mine, it said it was at level 119.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen barely any level 99 enemies, and that one shows up, and I'm like...
And then even summons don't really scratch it that hard. I summoned Shiva in an attempt to help me, and that didn't really do anything.
I was using Magitech armor that was at full charge. It basically, I guess, doesn't work against his Death Blast because it immediately about wiped out my entire team in one shot.
Yeah.
And I'm level 60 something.
Yeah, Omega is it's a mega. That's all I can say. It's a recurring nightmare in the Final Fantasy franchise.
Well, what would you guys say is the positive? What would you say is your positive thoughts as far as update goes? Like,
I'm loving the story so far, and it's already been confirmed that we're getting 3 new episodes, I think, over the course of this year, and then one final one in 2019, which means we're getting all this new material over and over again. And I like the whole concept of, we know it doesn't feel quite full, so let's keep adding stuff to it. Back when they did episode Gladiolus, I was a little disappointed because I feel like it was a quick wrap-up of, he disappeared to fight a legendary warrior, but it felt kind of... I can't really put my finger on it. It just felt out of place. Even though I loved Gilgamesh's redesign for this more realistic kind of world, episode Prompto was kind of like that next level up for Gladiolus. We got more backstory. We figured out what his whole deal was. We saw Ariane added back to the fold, seeing her work in the background. And then episode Ignis added the whole kind of choose your fate kind of thing. What if this had happened or this had happened? That one as a whole, no matter what story side you chose, it was something that just it makes you fall in love with Ignis. It's I've always liked him because, I mean, it's Ignis. He has so many great qualities. But his story alone showed the dedication of Noctis's bodyguards, his friendship with Noctis, and all these other wonderful things rolled into one character. And it just... it's just great all around. I can't deal. And I'm hoping that this upcoming year, my 3 predictions, obviously they've already said they're doing episode art, which I'm ecstatic beyond all belief about, because, we all know that I'm number 1 art. But we get his story, I'm hoping. I'm hoping we get, like, kind of his background before his whole plot. We get to see the whole lead up to Arden's descent into madness and revenge, and him working behind the scenes, and even turning, because there's that moment where they added his dealings with the Empire, with the whole he turned everyone into demons by the end of his run through there, and he was helping experiment on people. Well, not him. He was giving people the idea to experiment on people using the demons. And I'm hoping to see like this whole linear flow of story from point A to him fighting Noctis in the end, and maybe even kind of like a epilogue of him fading out of existence or finding peace with death or something. Mm-hmm. And along with that, I'm really hoping we get a Luna DLC story, because I don't care what anyone says, I know a lot of people agree with me, Luna's story was just so not there. I mean, anyone who watches Kingsglaive knows her personality, her struggles there.
I'll say she was awesome.
She was awesome in Kingsglaive. And it went from here she is ever present to you barely see her. You know she's working in the background to get the Astrals to work alongside Noctis's favor. And then she ended up sacrificing herself during the whole Leviathan moment. And then they added, with the Royal Edition, her helping him get to the point to fight Arden. And I feel like she's a character that holds so much importance to the story. It's not just Noctis. And it was never just Noctis, if you really look at it. Like, the entire story is about all these people sacrificing themselves to make sure Noctis becomes the king he's supposed to be in order to rid the world of darkness. And I feel like Luna herself was just shafted the entire time. We got more with the updates that we've been getting throughout this whole time, and then the Royal Edition. But I really, really hope we get a DLC story for her, because you have to imagine the struggle. Like, she was his partner the entire time. They were supposed to be married, and she did the role of the loyal wife. Even, I mean, it was supposed to be that whole... She was the Cirrus, the Oracle, thank you. She was the Oracle. She was doing the Oracle's job, but she also had that dual mentality of having feelings for Noctis. And so, anyone in a relationship knows your other person would want to do anything, and you won't do anything for them to make sure they go further. It kind of emphasized that she was staring down on gods to win their favor to help Noctis. And I really need that story. I need to see that happening. And the third one could be Ariana. Because I just like her. She's badass. She's a Dragoon, first and foremost. It's just one of those badass characters in Final Fantasy. And she's that cool bad girl kind of motif. Like, I don't know. I don't have enough of her. I need more of her in the story. Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed a little bit of the fact that, in the past, on this new DLC, you could now use the boat to go fishing and do other things, so you could see more of the world than you could before. I wish they would add a little more detail with, you be able to land on other areas, but apparently they just wanted to leave that part out.
Well, I feel like that would have been too much to add in anyway. You do need... I think it's good they did point A, point B. These are the two areas you go to. I will admit to
it lets you go around the ocean. I was hoping to maybe...
land in different areas, yeah.
Well, make landfall on some of the little blocks of land they had sitting out in the ocean. I would hope to make landfall, maybe have some things...
A fishing spot. Treasure hunting.
Anything.
Photo ops.
But no, you can't even run up on it with the boat because it won't let you.
Well, I guess that would kind of make it a whole other type of game.
It would. The Japanese love putting fishing mini games on their games, like Persona 5 or any Persona game, pretty much. This Monster Hunter, yeah. But I will admit too, when I saw the Narwhal, I sang the Narwhal song. So I was like, oh my god, it's a Narwhal. Oh my god, I need to sing this song. I will sing the song of my people.
But I loved, a lot of what they did with it. It was very smooth addition to it, where some DLCs are so blocky in additions in other games where you throw it in there and it doesn't fit.
Well, that's my roundabout conversation back to episode Gladiolus. I feel like it was kind of like a lot of DLC feels like filler sometimes. I mean, yes,
Gladiolus felt at least smooth enough where it fit in the story slightly. Whereas there's other games where DLC is just
at least
thrown into there.
At least
where it
that
just doesn't work.
episode told you where he went versus,
Well, I'm talking about as far as the 15 DLC.
Oh, yeah.
It felt blockier than everything. It kind of was just like,
well, until you added in the other two, and then it felt meaningful. It felt a little meaningful, especially if you played it the second time. If you played it the second time through, it made it more so.
I respectfully disagree, but I have to be the critic here.
One thing I will point out that annoys me a little bit is I'm a kind of person who's good with simplicity as far as like transitioning from one thing to another, and I would have liked a little bit better access to get into the Royal Edition upgrades and so forth, because it kind of annoyed me that I was wandering around trying to figure out how to access it until I finally saved the game, called on Umbra, and then it told me, oh, I have to leave and then chapter select in the main title menu, where as far as I would have preferred, you've got Umbra, you could have used Umbra. Say, Umbra, take me to chapter 14, instead of just making me exit the game, then re-entering the game. Because they've already made Umbra available at the rest spots.
Now, my one thing is that back a year ago, there was a thing where it was revealed that a lot of stuff before the game was released was cut near the last minute, or the last couple of months before release. And a lot of what is in the Royal Edition is kind of...
The director's...
Well, it's not...
Not the director's cut.
I wouldn't say the director's cut. It's like those ideas were taken, polished, kind of redid a little bit, and added in there. But the overall concept was still there.
Yeah.
On one hand, okay, that's amazing, that's great. And on the other hand, it kind of makes you wonder what the original idea was. For me, it makes me wonder what the original concept was going to be. One of which was cut, which was what we got to deal with, was fighting the past kings. But there was more detail that involved Arden with it. But it's polished, it's new, it's shiny, it's a good addition. But it just, I'm the wondering type of what could have been.
Yeah.
I would have loved it to where maybe instead of just collecting those weapons along the whole game, maybe fighting the kings for those weapons instead. That would have made it a little interesting.
Well,
it's almost like, I guess you're kind of saying almost like when you had to fight the Endolians for the ability to be able to summon their power or something like that.
That is classic Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Now, I do like the whole idea of you've collected them throughout this point, and the reason why they're being summoned now to fight against you is Arden reaching through time and space to conquer death, to be like, this is some stuff I can do, and like maybe put a block on the weapon from that person. You would have to use a different royal weapon against them.
That would be cool. Well, other than that, we've had this spring a bit of a pickle. When I say a bit of a pickle, I'm talking about Mr. Pickle T-Rex, or as we know him, Deviljho. So, to start with Deviljho, some of us have defeated him, some of us have not. But a couple notes about Mr. Deviljho.
Why are you putting some emphasis on the Joe?
Yeah.
It's not like it's a devil named Joe. It's Deviljho.
It should be a devil named Joe. But he's definitely high-powered monster.
Yes. See, me being a veteran of the old world, old games, I knew what was coming, kinda. I'm not even going to say I admit to knowing, because, with Monster Hunter World, everything is kind of new and terrifying, but I had an inclination of what could be. They did not. And it was beautiful hearing friends over the headphone.
His face is a giant boxing glove. Who does that? I'm gonna punch you with my face.
That would be the Japanese theory. But yes, Deviljho.
Have you not watched anime enough?
No, I think
Apparently not.
the greatest moment I had fighting him for the first time, I found him in the Coral Highlands. So I was like, cool, I have the advantage here. This is my favorite place to grind and gather materials. I'll deal with this. No. he threw everything out of its way to get to me.
Including a monster?
Every monster. Little poofy bat, God help him. Little blue raptor, oh God, just didn't even stand a chance. And then, in my fear, even though I could clearly think of a strategy, which led me to running up the Coral Plains to finding Ligernia, I ran to its spawning area and decided, you know, if I fight it here, maybe it can help me. No. She got snatched from the sky like a butterfly in a swift wind and thrown. And the moment that a apex predator gets snatched out of the air and on the side of your screen it says parts broken, you know it's a bad time for everybody involved.
What was the damage report on that?
2088.
Yeah, in
One swipe of its face. And then it threw it and it flew away, and I saw the hopes of fighting it fly away. If I didn't have the little health spritzer thing, I probably wouldn't have beaten him. Luckily, I keep traps and bombs, so I beat him. Barely.
I have fought him several times. Not necessarily lost, but the fact of the matter is, couldn't get past his HP because he would always dig away before I would get him done.
Sponge. He has so much health.
And I would get into a good groove where I could actually hit him right and get him trapped in all manner, and then eventually you start to see him tire out, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, he's about to leave the locale. I'm like, you are not gonna do this to me again.
Just so you know, traps for him only last a few seconds versus the other ones.
Yeah, even using the flash pods, they're good, but versus most of the other monsters, they last a lot longer on them. Him, no, you better be right on his face, slashing him the moment you use it.
And it's funny, because his name is the World Eater. He's there to disrupt every environmental norm. So
I wanted to fight Nergigante.
You'd rather fight not?
I know, I wouldn't want him to fight Nergigante.
Oh, I thought you said I'd rather fight.
So that would be useful.
No, I would not fight that creature. I would rather tangle with Deviljho.
All I know is
Deviljho will run away from me.
All I know is when you get a monster stuck in a pitfall trap, they're not supposed to be able to fight back. No, his little buzz just doing that motion.
The dragon breath, yeah.
Yep.
No, not even the dragon breath. He's just wiggling stuff around.
He punched him with his face while in the ground.
Like,
It's beautiful. I warned all of you to embrace the terror, but no.
And I'm just sitting here behind it while it's stuck in the ground, like, stand.
I'm gonna be whacking at this guy for a while.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That's why I like using the shock traps better than the pitfall, is at least it stops him momentarily.
Now, this whole thing raises the question, what else is going to be done as far as reinventing old game monsters for the new
But I will say, Deviljho was worse in the old games. For the newer generation does not understand the terror that it was before, and how slow you had to be. You were trying to face him in the old games.
Well, again,
Yes, the update.
I bring the point up a lot that the old games compared to the new games were not as linear and as smooth as what they've made the new one. Which, if you make a game too hard, a lot of people are going to drop off and not want to play it. And I think they gave us a good balance.
I was gonna say you are hard enough.
But everyone wants a challenge, and it makes the weapons and the armor worth making once you do it. And it's... I love how they kind of smoothed out his rough patches as far as a monster type would be, because, we already had Beetlegeist, and that was annoying beyond all belief, but now we have Deviljho. Both of these creatures can just wander in and out of each environment as they please. So that within itself...
And destruction.
Of course!
The moment
it adds, you can go to a 6 or 7-star mission to be finding, I don't know, mushrooms or hunting basic creatures, and then they appear. And all of a sudden, the challenge begins. Some of my favorite things from the old games is Deviljho appearing while you're trying to hunt down like a Quarterpecco, and it accidentally kill it, and you get the mission. And so the rest of the mission, you're waiting for the countdown clock to happen, you're running away from Deviljho. So it brings back fond memories.
I just wish there were other creatures that could handle him a little bit better.
Speaking of other creatures that could handle him, a few days ago I learned, whilst on Twitter, Luricus, my favorite Leviathan from Try and the other wonderful Monster Hunter games, was prototyped during the beginning stages or finishing stages of making the game, and they cut it because, in retrospect, maybe it wouldn't have been the easiest thing to try to completely reinvent for being on land, because anyone who has played the previous games with Luricus in it knows that it's a monster of land and sea, more fearsome in sea, but also a challenge on land. But they cut it. Broke my heart, made me upset a little bit, not even gonna lie. I can see why they did it, because you want the full impact of each creature. You want them to be at their fullest when you're bringing them to a game. But
hopefully this is just a tease and trying to tell us it's not coming, and then surprise us later on.
Well, the only way I'm going to get excited for any of the Leviathan species to come in is if we get some form of ocean map, which we've heard nothing about. So,
but then again, there was that little thing that happened with Zora Magdaros, so maybe it's a hint that they may decide to do it.
Well, with Zora Magdaros, it's a special to only Zora Magdaros thing. We're never going to be able to visit that area without it being a Zora Magdaros mission. Same thing with...
it died, so wouldn't it create a new ecosystem out in the ocean?
Oh, you're talking about as far as the story thing?
Yes.
Yeah, the whole ecosystem with the ocean thing. I would hope that would be DLC later to it, because Monster Hunter games have very long lives for those of us who have played the original games. So hopefully we will be getting some form of ocean map later where we can get Luricus, another Leviathan.
And Ludroth. Some Ludroth.
My spongy baby.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my current biggest hopes, because, with this being the story of the Elder Crossing, I want more dragons. Like Duramander. Giant Snake King, yes.
Snakes. Okay.
I've shown size comparisons of that thing to so many different people when I would talk about it, and fear.
And then they say it's that if they bring it, it's going to be bigger than that.
Well,
that those were supposed to be children compared to these.
Well, the Rotten Vale. This whole story behind the Rotten Vale is, if you notice on the maps and while you're exploring it, there's a giant skeleton everywhere, and it's claimed that it's a Duramander, and
actually maybe two.
Two, because
I've seen two skulls.
Yeah, there's two skulls. There's one up top, and then there's where the Rotomon, where it goes for like a nest or whatever, and then at the bottom near where you find the Valhasad, is that what it's called? The death rotting elder dragon.
What?
Oh. Well,
yeah.
In the lower portions of the Rotten Vale map, there's also a second set of jaws kind of chilling down there. So it's either two Duramander or another Elder Dragon. I kind of feel bad that I just ruined that for you.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to put up here on everything saying quest failed for both of us.
Oh. Whoops. But yeah. So it would be natural, because those skeletons alone, if they were both Duramanders, they're huge. They're massive in scale compared to the one you fight in the previous game, and which would only make sense that could have been a baby, or smaller subspecies, or whatever Monster Hunter can use to explain away size comparisons.
If we get anything that big to fight, it's going to need to be like a raid battle with like 16 players.
Oh. I mean, didn't they say that we were supposed to be getting something like that?
I've heard rumors of raid missions at some point.
Where you can do the big cannon stuff like you did with Zora Magdaros.
Yeah. And I know that I forgot the name of the monster because I cannot pronounce the majority because I know I've butchered my giant snake. It's like this giant floating tentacly thing that has like a forest on its back. That's from one of the older games.
Oh, yeah.
And that's already a raid boss on the online Monster Hunter series. So that could be a possibility. And,
I'm looking for some more insect monsters and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they need the Stellatus, big flying insect, and then the queen version of it.
And we need that big, scarab thing from Generations, I think it was.
Wasn't that a hermit crab?
No, not the Hermitar. Although I like to fight that too. There was this big scarab, I think golden scarab beetle thing.
I'm going to be looking up all these things that you're talking about later for this video. And post it up on this thing. And I'm going to be like, what the heck? Why would they want these?
See, that's what I get every
The
time I
armor.
tell
The armor,
the
weapons.
and the challenge. I mean, come on, guys.
Yes.
We need more Elder Dragons.
But a giant hermit crab is so fun to fight, don't you think?
No.
No.
With a skull of another monster on his back.
I mean, I like the whole Elder Dragon motif because I like to think that I'm fighting titans and gods because I'm that bougie of a person. Oh, come on, you're talking to like a Bayonetta fan. Anything large and preposterously powerful, I love to fight, so.
And we'll be getting God of War soon as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited for that.
Yep. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Other than my slowly developing cult for the Duramander, I don't think I have any other topics.
Really.
You get pamphlets in the mail.
It was me. I hope to see you at the meetings.
Well, guys, as always, you can follow him on Twitter. You can check out his forum. Or you can follow the main Twitter or the Snapchat for this channel. But until next time, stay hungry and game on.